About used up his hybrid drive.
Yeah, this is the last straight they use it, I think.
Yep.
Oh, he's got a tiny bit left for out of the last corner, probably. It's sort of all automated now, that, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's predefined. Where's the best place for it to happen? You can also see two screens above, up above the windscreen. The one on the left is race.
3 Gs in the corner. Wow. That'll take your breath away. Yeah. Wasn't it you that was telling me that at 1.7? Yep, boxes left. Wasn't it you that telling me at 1.7 Gs your body quits breathing just to keep the lungs inflated?
I'm not sure exactly what the figure is, but the lungs basically under G-force collapse, and so the body naturally holds the breath, and that stops the G-force from collapsing your lung.
That's why you hear the fighter pilots do that grunt, because they're keeping the air in the lungs as long as they can.
And that's why they have pressure suits.
Yep.
Because the blood flow around the body is also a problem, but fighter jets are actually pulling quite high G.
Yeah.
Remember, 6 to 7 G you pass out.
Right.
So these guys are continuously pulling 3 to 4 G under braking, 3 to 4 G under cornering, but remember we're in low downforce at the Mans, so actually the downforce on the car is quite minimal in comparison with, say, Silverstone Grand Prix circuit or something. So second pit stop for Mike Conway.
And he's still going to have probably close to a 2-minute lead.
Yeah.
It'll be less than 2 minutes, obviously. But
that was his full service, and that's bad for the tyres. That's not good, because you got 2 stops continuously. It's a bit dirty in the pit lane. That's a difficult one for Mike, and unfortunate, and will have lost him approximately 30 to 40 seconds, of course.
Yep, minute 4-second pit stop. See what the interval is next time. His teammate Sebastian Buemi, there he is.
Yeah, so he's just come out of Mulsanne corner.
Yep, and now he'll make the long run. This is the longest straight now. From Mulsanne corner to Indianapolis is just a little bit over 1.5 miles, 1.6 miles. It's 2 kilometers. It's the longest. 1.2 miles, 6 kilometers. Math's hard on 2.5 hours of nap. Through Indianapolis, the hard right-hander in Arnage. Punch on that hybrid power, and off he goes, headed towards the Porsche curves. So Mike Conway has made a second pit stop. We saw emergency service during the full course yellow because he was on the 11th lap of his stint. That means you can take 5 seconds of fuel only. It's enough to get you around another lap so that when the course goes green, you can come in and make a pit stop. Under green to finish any other service, refueling the car, and any other service that you may need. There's your leader, second place car in the GT Pro category. And did he just have a moment? He sure did. Oh, bounced through the first part of the short Ford chicane.
Yeah, just looking at the averages, Pierre Guidi was mighty on his first stint of the tyre. Actually, looking strong still is Sebastian Bourdais. Down in 5th place, some minute behind the El Bamba Porsche. Still the 8-second gap between Garcia and Pierre Guidi, but obviously the opposite way round. Swings and roundabouts.
Actually, Garcia has pulled out because at one point that was only a 5-second gap.
Yes, sure.
After the pit stop. So, and in fact, the Buemi is now 1:52 behind. So he did he did pick up about 58 seconds.
So the battle of the American cars there, Ford and GM.
Yeah.
The Ford bosses wouldn't have liked seeing that GM just fly by a Ford, would they?
No.
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 The Ford has many benefits, though, in other areas.
Oh, it sure does.
Yeah.
It sure does. That's a program that's coming to an end, unfortunately. There's the number 11 SMP. Stoffel Van Dorn is going to turn that car over.
McLaren Formula One driver.
To
now in
Mikhail Elation.
Yeah. Stoffel's been impressive for a rookie.
He's done a great job.
Great job.
Absolutely great job.
We talked about him yesterday, didn't we? A mighty driver, was a multiple winner in all the junior single-seater championships all the way up to Formula One.
It takes a special talent, I think, for a person who is still highly active in single-seater racing, where the car is all his, to be able to come in and mesh with two other drivers and work towards compromise.
Yeah.
And work towards a setup that works to make everybody comfortable. Might not be the best setup for each individual driver, but it's a setup they can live with and be comfortable and confident in.
It's the one big aspect of sports car racing, isn't it? All these guys that come from single-seaters, they've got a car to themselves. They're the only person that drives it. They get the seat, the controls, the pedals, the wheel, everything in the exact position they want it, and they get the setup that they exactly want. These guys, I'm not so happy. The seating position is good, but it's just good. It's not perfect.
Yep.
And there's always, you know, little differences. Oh, I'd like that different, but the other driver wants it the opposite way, and it's a compromise. And setup as well. Some drivers we know in Formula One, in sports cars, doesn't matter. I like a good front end with a bit of a loose rear, an oversteery car, let's say. Some people like a secure rear end with a bit of understeer. And every driver's slightly different to their preferences.
Plus sizes.
Yes.
Get taller, wider.
Yep. And
long-waisted, short-legged. You know, I mean, there's all kinds of different things that.
But what I will say is, and every driver will agree with this, unless you're a single-seater driver and you've never done the great races of Daytona, Le Mans, Sebring, etc., is the paddock atmosphere and the way of life as a sports car driver or GT versus single-seater. Single-seaters is a lonely life.
Yes, it is.
You've got really no friends.
Right.
You don't really like each other.
Right,
you know,
exactly.
it's a battle everywhere, not just in the car. It's a battle in the paddock. In here at Le Mans, the paddock atmosphere in WEC,
very
Le
family.
Mans is GTs. It's super family, and we congratulate each other, win or lose. We wish each other good luck. We'll go and have a beer with each other sometimes as well.
Well, that's the way it used to be back in Formula One. When I first came up, I grew up in Watkins Glen.
Yeah.
So that's all I knew for a long time was things like Formula One and sports car racing. And the drivers, when I was a lad, my family doctor was a track physician, so I was allowed to see some of the behind-the-scenes stuff. And the drivers hung out together. When they would have a time off between races, they would do things together. They would. The families would do things together, or the drivers would hang out together. You see many of the old archival photos of Graham Hill and Jim Clark and Jackie Stewart and everybody, and families in a pool someplace or something while they're on the road.
Well, the BRDC, the British Racing Drivers Club, was set up by British racing drivers at Silverstone, and they built a pub at the circuit. It was basically nothing more than a pub, and they built it because they said, let's go and have a few beers after the race. And that's how the club started. Now, obviously, it's more than just a pub.
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah, maybe it's a British thing to sort of have these clubs. I don't know.
That's a great Groucho Marx line. I don't want to be the member of a club that would have me.
Yes. And we have the Club de Pilote here at Le Mans as well, which is I'm a member of, having done this great race. And yeah, it's a fantastic this paddock generally is a fantastic feeling between everyone.
And it's the same in the United States in sports car racing. It's exactly the same.
Well, actually,
probably IndyCar is a little bit more friendly than single-seaters are in Europe.
Yeah.
But again, it's because you've got multi-car teams. You've got it's a traveling circus. You know, the guys all live in their buses at the racetrack.
Yeah.
So they do interact with each other.
And their kids play with each other, wives or girlfriends or whatever. Yeah. Actually, some of my fondest memories in my creation days doing Petit Le Mans, ALMS, Laguna Seca. fantastic days. The Americans fans are just brilliant, and yeah, the atmosphere in those races is immense. The Americans know how to put a show on.
Yeah, and we try.
Yeah,
we try. There's your second place car still. It's kind of held status quo. About to put a lap on the all-female team. The number 83 Kessel Racing. Rahel Frey behind the wheel of that car now. Perfetti behind the wheel of the Team Project 1 car. Taking over from York Bergmeister. Here comes the 32 car back out of the garage area with a little bit of 100-mile-an-hour tape, or in this case 200-mile-an-hour tape. I saw it on the back side of the where the clips go on for that rear bodywork.
This is.
Let's check back in with Rebellion and Gustavo Menendez.
Gustavo has come back in from being out in the number 3 Rebellion. All sorts of things going on for you. 3-minute time penalty first of all, which I assume then led on to what happened next?
Yeah, it's been a long night, obviously. More than that, we earlier in the night we also got called in to fix a light that was not broken in the car by race direction. We lost 3 minutes there. Then we lost 3 minutes for, I guess, a tire that was given to us that was not, I don't know exactly the situation, but we've lost 7-8 minutes in the box. We still had a good fight going on with S&P. I was fighting with them on track, and obviously in the moment things happen, clipped the curb and spun. It's just a bummer. And now it seems like the luck's not really on our side, but there's still 4 hours 45 to go. We're still racing, so we just keep pushing and make the best of it.
I spoke to Kaleem briefly, and he explained to me roughly what happened with the car. Can you give me more information?
Honestly, I woke up 10 minutes ago. I have no idea. I just came back to see we were even further behind, so.
Okay, thank you.
That's a hell of a wake-up. Where? What happened?
Well, yeah, what happened? Well, he's had a few hours off, and he's made good advantage of it. This is the moment in the race with 4 hours and 47 minutes to go, where the drivers now do start to feel tired. Their body clocks are slightly out of sync, and adrenaline is still high, especially for those still in a battle. Closest battle at the moment, though, is still the Pro GT cars between Garcia and Pierre Guidi. Bruni a further 20 seconds back, and Bamba a further 20 seconds back. So some 50 seconds separates the top 4 cars in GT Pro. It's swinging around a bit. Bruni has just set the fastest lap for that Porsche, 350.4. Pushing on.
That's what they've got to do at this point. If they want to win that world championship for drivers, they've got to get 2 more positions.
Yes, so which is the Kevin Estre car, isn't it?
Kevin Estre is the 92 car. That's the points leader coming into the race.
Yeah, so they've got to be in the top 8, haven't they, to win the championship.
Let me check my little file here.
And that is looking like a tough ask at the moment. They are some 2 laps behind their teammates in front of them. Yeah,
actually 9th place will clinch.
So
because that will leave them with 143 points, and if Bruni and Leitz finish first, they can max out at 142 points.
Okay, so they're some 2 laps off that 9th place, 2.5 laps. Still a long way to go. Anything can happen. They just need 3 cars to hit some problems.
Well, and as it stands right now, with Bruni scoring 3rd place points, right? Yep, 3rd place points. That would put them on 127. So the Estre and Christensen would win the world championship.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they only have to finish 9th
if they're first.
If the 91 car finishes first.
So at the moment they're okay.
Yep, 9th guarantees it. No matter what Bruni does, they control their own destiny.
But as we've seen so often, Toyota a few years ago on the last lap.
4 hours and 45 minutes to go. This, heck, one of the Fords could win this thing.
Yeah.
Well, this is, they haven't, the headline riders haven't even gotten out of bed yet, let alone go in and started to set type.
No, but the fans are starting to flock back to the circuit.
Yep.
They've all had an alcohol-free night, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
Some burgers, and they're now starting to fill the grandstands up around the circuit. Yeah, sort of half full at the moment. They're all slowly making their way.
In the next hour and a half, they will become full. By noon, grandstands will be full again.
Yeah.
And it's not that anybody's gone. So many people camp here.
Yes.
They watch the first couple of hours from their seat, then they move around, enjoy the evening. And this was probably a great night to actually camp here, because even though the weather was iffy in the beginning of the week, the weather since Friday has been absolutely spectacular. And it would have been a great night to be sleeping outdoors last night.
Yeah, drivers will be smelling those bacon and eggs this morning as they come through the Porsche curves, the campsite just near the Porsche curves by the kart track. And you get this lovely whiff of barbecue, bacon and eggs, and it makes you feel hungry.
And it comes
for me anyway.
Yeah, the 38 car, Jackie Chan. Going to be a driver change.
I think that's Raquelme, no?
Yep, I think that is Raquelme. Let me just double check.
New tyres, brand new sticky Dunlops. Change of driver is quite common that the driver gets
Raquelme.
New tyres, a change of nose. We've seen this quite a lot these days. It's because these noses now are so quick to change. Doesn't really, look, the fuel's still going in, so it doesn't really cost you any time.
No,
quite
just
often,
money, and lots of it.
It's very critical, the aero around the front of these cars, and they do it just to keep the drag down, because the dirty flies and grime from the other cars just creates a little bit of drag. The guys will take that 45,000 euro front end piece of the car out to the back. They'll check it for any damage, holes from stones and bits of rubber, give it a clean up, and then it just becomes the spare again.
Yep. Stefan Raquelme is indeed the driver of that car now. He'll try and see if he can cut into the lead of Nicolas Lapierre, the Signatech Alpine, really Orica, number 36. Luok Duval in the number 28 TDS Racing, also on Dunlops, is in third position, just 19 seconds now behind the Jackie Chan entry. So if Luok Duval can continue to cut into that lead, we might be seeing a little podium battle.
What's going to happen later on, not quite yet, I'm not clever enough to work it out, but we've got Garcia, Bruni, Bamba and Boromito on a very similar strategy. They're all on lap 12, 13, 12, 12 of their stints. Pierre Guidi is on lap 7. And what will transpire, and the engineers will be working this out right now, there'll be one of them or 4 of them have got an extra stop.
Yep.
Compared to the other.
That's right.
If it's Pierre Guidi, he's sitting pretty right now. If it's not, though, suddenly it opens Bruni and Bamba, the guys, to jump the Ferrari, and they will be frantically working that out, the engineers, to see how are we going to make one less stop.
And the other thing they're going to be doing is literally back timing from 3 o'clock to see when they need to make those pit stops, and maybe do a short fill at some point to get into a rhythm. I don't think that's the right word, but get to a pit stop plan that gets them making that last stop at the most advantageous point for their car and their car's abilities and strengths.
Yes. It's, they'll literally be going 14 laps, 14 laps, 14 laps.
Yep.
Obviously, they don't know what's going to happen. They can't factor in any safety car periods or full course yellows. That's what changes it up. But they will have worked it out already. Trust me, Corvette, AF Corsa, and the Porsche team will have worked out, OK, we're looking good or not. Maybe I could work it out quickly in my clever maths.
Well, you heard you were with me earlier when Alan McNish was talking about strategy software. So I'm sure all of these guys have a laptop they can just plug a couple of figures into, and it will spit out a plan that they can then alter and or adhere to based on what their belief is.
Well, we've got the strategy of what's happened in the past. Can't we flip this around so it gives us the future as well? That would be easy.
I wish I had a stock market software that would do that.
Ben Keating Motorsports, Fraga at the wheel now, still leading in Pro-Am, GT-Am, sorry. A lap ahead, still of Team Project One.
Yep.
They're looking good. First time for the privateer Porsche at Le Mans. Ford, sorry.
Yep. There's the Jumbo Grocery sponsored car, number 29. That's the Racing Team Netherlands. Vandergaard coming out of the pits in that car. Driver change there, I believe. And there is that battle between Raquelme and Loic Duval. Duval, another one of those Audi drivers who cut his teeth in Japanese Super Formula and is splitting his time between sports car racing and Formula E now after
DTM.
DTM, that's right. That's right. It's Lauderer that's in the Formula E.
Loic Duval
I used to get them confused when they were at Audi too. Yeah. At least I'm consistent.
Loic Duval still a factory driver for Audi.
Yep.
Lotterer, old teammate of Duval's, but he is he's in Formula E. As is Buemi, of course. There's quite a few Formula E drivers. Jean-Eric Verne. I'm sure there's a few more.
Jean-Eric Verne, Formula E world champion.
Yes.
Nicolas Lapierre, he has driven an excellent race so far. Don't want to give him the announcer's curse, but he has been the star of the Signatech show so far, hasn't he?
He's Orica's boy as well. Yuba Shonak's boy. He's been in factory programs. He's a great driver. Yeah, so
that's right. He has a perfect record here at Le Mans, as Louise rightly reminds me in my ear. Let's check in with Louise, who has got a Jackie Chan moment for us.
Yes, I'm with Hope in Tongue. You've been keeping an eye closely on that battle. It's so close.
Sorry, on that?
That battle is so close.
Yeah, battle's been very close. We were closing quite rapidly on the Alpine at some stage. Unfortunately, Gabriel suffered from a puncture and had to do an entire lap at slow speed. So that's why we dropped the lap behind. Nice fight with the TDS car at the moment. Not so easy just now. Somehow I got some damage on the left front wheel arch, I think from some pickup or debris. So yeah, struggled a lot in the third stint, but managed to keep the gap as it was.
Have they repaired that now?
Yeah, they've changed the nose.
That was what they were doing. What do you think you can do against the TDS, because that is getting closer?
Yeah, it's going back and forth a bit. I mean, it looks like the car has gained a bit of pace throughout the race for us. So basically when the night fell, we started to get more pace from the car, and so I think we should be able to keep it up.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
So standing by now for the TDS cars are on Dunlaps. Yep, as is the Jackie Chan operation. The what was I going to say? Signatech. Lapierre is all set for his pit stop. This is the number 3 car coming back out of the garage. Just came into the pits and went right in. Not sure what they were working on.
They put a new nose on.
Another new nose. Okay.
Yeah, they've had some problems, haven't they? The IDEC car behind them, in for a regular stop.
Out of 6th place in the LMP2 category. Oh, they just take them back, clean. They just take them back, clean them off, and reuse them.
Yeah, I think they're...
I hope. If not, if not, it's going to be a really big bill at the end of the day.
Yeah, we're all laughing about Rebellion's change of noses. They seem to have about 17 spare noses for each car, but I'm sure they're just being rotated and repaired in between. Yeah, it's been a tough week for Rebellion, but they have valiantly fought on, and you know, still are 4th and 6th in this race overall. Let's not forget overall podium finishes. No, 2 years ago, was it?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
So a great family-run team. But Hayden, the man, his father sadly passed away a few years ago. Hugh was a great guy, and they're a great bunch of guys.
The Corvette number 63 crew goes to work for Antonio Garcia, checking brake temps, checking tire pressures, just doing all over systems checks. Danny Binks standing there in front. As soon as the fuel comes out, he'll lift the lollipop, and Antonio Garcia will back in action. There you go.
There's another great guy, Dan Binks.
Yeah.
He's been there for years and years. But
Yep.
I tested for a Corvette in 2002, and he was there then. He said, "Right, boy." He gave me the right. This is how it's going to be. He's the rock of that team, isn't he?
Yes, he is. Yes, he is, and loves his vintage cars too. He's got a couple of old Camaros, and actually there is a kind of small ad hoc racing series in America called the 24 Hours of Lemons, and literally LEMONS, like the fruit, and it's basically your budget for the car can be no more than $500.
Oh, wow.
So you should see some of the junk that races for 24 hours, and that's one of the things that Dan likes to do for fun.
Ex-Mercedes works driver Peter Dunbrack has joined us.
Hello.
How was your breakfast?
Oh, all right. Yeah.
You look like you've had a shower. You're looking really fresh.
I have. I'm fresh. I'm fresh. Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry to say, lads, this is my last time on air as well. I'm going to have to head off. I've got preparations for Nürburgring 24 hours next week.
White gloving it, huh?
I need to get home. I've got final bit of fitness training to do tomorrow before I leave on Tuesday.
If you aren't fit, that ship sailed, dude.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you're doing your fitness...
Yeah. Said the fat guy over here, but yeah, the fluffy one.
The fitness is for the 24 hours is all happening tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
it's going to be a long day.
Yeah,
I'm bulking up for the race. That's what I've been doing.
Carb loading.
Yeah, while I've been here in Le Mans, I've been bulking up, getting ready. I'll do my final bit of fitness, and I'll be absolutely ready on Thursday when we first run. Or is it Wednesday?
Louise, do you believe a bit of this? Do you believe any of this, Louis?
Yeah, well, I can't really say what I was going to say on air.
And keep your job, right?
Yeah, I need to.
All right, I'll let you off.
What I will tell you is that TDS are about to come in, and Francois Perrodo is going to be getting in the car.
All right.
Which will make it interesting in that battle.
Yes, it will indeed.
He's not done the driving time yet, that's why.
That's right.
Yeah, so they'll put him in, and then with a couple of hours to go, they'll put the superstar in. Yeah.
Remind me back to the previous years. So Lapierre has finally found himself up there with a bit of clear space between him and second place in LMP2. Did he win the last?
Yes, he has a perfect record here.
3 times. So he's going for 4 now.
Yeah.
All that heartache of the time he was with Peugeot, the mistakes that happened with the team, a little bit of driving error with him, so close to winning, and now he's on for 4 times in the LMP2 class.
Yeah. 4 trophies, 4 watches.
Yep, 15, 16, and 18 were his LMP2 victories. He was 3rd in 2012 with Toyota.
Yeah, he didn't have a happy time at Toyota, did he, really? He was put there by Hugh de Schoenack, I think, because he is... I think he's partly responsible, really, for developing this car that we see today. He is the development driver for Orica, and he's put a lot of effort into that program. and he's got the reward. He's a great driver.
Again, let's knock on wood and let's not curse him, because he's still got 4 hours 30 minutes to go. This GT Pro battle is shaping up nicely as well. Everything is status quo at the moment. Everyone's on a slightly different strategy, so we're seeing the Ferrari leading and then the Corvette leading. And really, I suppose if we really worked ahead from now, you did the maths, you can maybe see what's going to happen towards the end with the stints and how long they have to keep going, and whether that Ferrari will be able to survive, because it's basically pits halfway through the stint of the Corvette.
Yeah, so he's on lap 11, sorry, of his stint, whereas the others have all just boxed and they're all just gone out the pit lane. So he will drop back behind the Corvette, and as Peter said, we talked about this half an hour ago, the engineers will have already worked out one of them has got one more stop to make, I'm sure.
So there'll be, you know, the engineers who've worked that out and realised that, oh, we're not in good shape here, they'll be hoping for another safety car to kind of equalise things again. Yeah,
and the message from the engineers will probably be, whoever that is, to fuel save as much as they can as well, without losing any lap time. Ah, Bohemi's got a drinks bottle now, look.
Yep. So back into the action for the number 8 Toyota.
'28, the third place car in. Duval has finished for the day. I think probably that will be his last stint, no?
You would have thought so, yeah.
Yeah, because Perodo will do a double now, I'd imagine. Or even a
unless Duval finishes the race, that's possible.
Maybe, yeah.
That's what I was going to say. I figured he would do a double. Perodo would do a double. And then Duval would finish the race.
There's the campers down at the Porsche curbs. Hundreds of thousands of them.
Great turnout. Just absolutely. All the campsites are absolutely full this year.
Peter, is this the toughest time in the moment in the race for you now, these last sort of 4 or 5 hours?
No, the toughest time for me is getting up in the morning, whatever time you've got to get up.
Is that why you were late?
Yeah, and seeing the last of the darkness. Once you hit light, you get that second wind. I get a second wind, and you get the sense that, okay, we've broken the back of this race now, and I feel like we can make it through.
Yeah.
It's just a mental thing, you know, going from dark to light.
Also depends where you are. If you're in with a fight of a podium, you've got a lot more energy, haven't you? If you're like the '97 Aston Martin right now, how are you feeling?
Yeah. It's not a good feeling. You part of you just wants to pull the car over and stop, but Aston Martin have put way too much money and resources into this race for you to do that, and the car is still running, so you've got to get that thing to the end.
Here's a big penalty. 4 laps will be deleted from the final results, and 3 minutes and 8 seconds added to the time of car number 54 for exceeding driver time. The 54 car is the spirit of the race Ferrari, with Francesco Castellicci, Giancarlo Fisichella, and Thomas Fleur. So
someone's done over 12 hours of driving in that car already.
Basically, Thomas Fleur had a crash, and I don't think well, not since I've been in the booth.
Has he been back in the car?
I haven't seen him in the car. Yeah. I've only seen Fizzy and Castellacci.
So,
but that's a huge penalty, isn't it?
That's draconian.
4 laps deleted, plus 3 minutes and something. And now we're hearing car 57, Car Guy Racing, 1 minute 38 seconds added to the final results.
There it is, popping up on the screen again for exceeding drive time.
Wow.
So who of the...
So the pros in these cars are only allowed to do a maximum of 12 hours, but the AM in the car has to do a minimum of 6 hours. So basically what's happened is Thomas Fleur and whoever the other one was with the Spirit of Race, was
Takeshi Kimura.
Yeah, have not done the
car guy.
They've not done the time in the car, so
which effectively makes that car not an AM car anymore, because it's got two high-rated drivers that should be in the pro category rather than the AM category.
We saw Ben Keating, who also didn't drive in the night, leaders in the AM class. Ben didn't drive in the night, but he did a stint before the night, and then they got him in for a triple stint in the morning. Yep. I don't know if he's done enough time now, but...
and I'm guessing Jeroen Blikkemolen's going to finish in that car, because he only did one single stint in between Fraga and Ben Keating. So I guess Fraga's in for triple now, and then Blikkemolen will finish.
Yeah, and that's, as Louise reminds us, that's why the 88 retired, because Hinoshi-san did not want to carry on.
He'd had a few moments, let's say, during early in the race. There was a big one with Marcel Fassler when they came together. Whoever's fault, I'm not sure, but yeah, that was a pretty big impact for Marcel, and it would have shaken up Hoshino-san as well. So yeah,
that was after he'd had 2 spins by himself.
Exactly. So, yeah.
I have a feeling that Ben Keating needs to get back in that car.
I think he will. Oh yeah, I agree with you. I think he's got at least a double stint left in him.
Yeah,
to get to the drive time.
He did 3 stints this morning. He did 14 laps, 16 laps, and 14 laps. Prior to that was yesterday. He's done 1 stint of 14 laps. Jerome started the race and did 2, and then Fraga did 3. So I don't think the 4 stints that he's done is enough.
No, I would be surprised if they are. I think he's got to do at least 2 more.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but Fraga will box anytime soon. Ben will get back in, and then Jerome will do the final 2 stints probably.
And he'll stay until he's reached that time, and then whatever time that is, Jerome will then take it to the finish. Oh, here's a problem for the Interpol entry. The Ligier Gibson.
Interpol?
Yeah. That's right. Interpol.
Inter-Europol.
Inter-Europol. He's going to absolutely beat that bodywork and suspension to death at that speed.
Yeah.
He's got to slow down.
Yeah. Once that tire starts to delaminate.
Yep. And it's close.
It's close. It destroys the rear bodywork. But actually nowadays, these guys can change that rear deck in a matter of seconds.
Well, you hope that it doesn't wrap around a suspension piece, because then now you've got, it's not the work of a moment.
So quite a way to go.
Toyota's getting ready with some brand new boots for the number 7 car. Mike Conway makes the right-hand turn.
Yeah, Mike will be pitting. Oh, there he is.
Right now. Yep.
Mighty stint from him, 21.9 average.
Wow. He's been the star of the show today for Toyota, that is for sure.
Yeah. No, he's the standout guy of all 6 drivers in the Toyotas.
Putting his stamp on this event.
He should be getting out. Yeah, he's getting out.
He sure is.
He's completed 4 11-lap stints.
Kamui Kobayashi getting into the car.
And his across his 4 stints, the average 22.0, 22.1, 21.9, and 22.1. Pretty consistent.
Yeah, we were talking about him over breakfast actually when I think it was Alan asked your driver of the day, and for me so far it's Mike Conway.
Yeah, without a doubt. Although Nicolas Lapierre, I would also give a nod to. He's had an excellent performance.
Yep.
And
Kobayashi back out onto the racetrack. About a half-lap lead now.
50 seconds, the gap between Pierre Guidi and Garcia in the Corvette. Pierre Guidi about to stop in a lap or so.
Pit stops for the 3 and the 57 now under investigation. Tell you what, if the 3 gets any more penalties, poor Bart's head's going to explode. That's the car guy racing number 57. There's the remaining SMP number 11. Mikel Elation behind the wheel of that car. Here's Mike. A little debrief for the crew.
That line below his ear that's from his cable of his earplugs.
Yeah.
Leaves an indent in your...
He could at least have the good grace to sweat.
Yeah.
You love these guys. They don't even sweat.
Quick.
Yeah, of course, up until how many years ago? A few years ago when they brought in the air conditioning rule, you're allowed to run the car as hot as you liked.
Oh, yeah.
And there was times, certainly with Aston Martin, when they brought the new car out and basically the driver's feet were melting
burned
on the pedals and getting burnt, and they just didn't want to get back in for another stint.
Ooh.
Oh.
That's a bit dicey.
Yeah, I think the regulation now is 35 degrees, isn't it? They can't go over. But what they do is the aircon actually points at the sensor, so
Yeah.
a slight cheat.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, good Lord. So
We've all sat in a hot racing car, Jamie, and gone off to do a stint, and it is literally like sitting in a sauna for an hour and working, or having a workout while we do it.
Yeah.
It's not a nice feeling, so it's good that they've brought these cooler regulations in as time's gone on. 85
car leader in the AM category, getting a little work done on the front brakes. This change. Also, you saw a little bit of looking a little bit secondhand there on the left front of the 85 car. Quick check of the suspension on the Inter-Europol entry. Make sure everything's all right with that left rear suspension where the tire went flat. You can see the marks on the bodywork. Back to the Wins car. And we'll see if can't see there. You see the other front brakes being changed. Not quite as quick as the pro entries.
No.
They don't need to rush, do they?
No, they don't.
That car looks fairly good condition. The only one issue we saw earlier on was Ben Keating having a spin, didn't we, at the first corner? But he just went through the gravel straight back out. So, yeah, they've had a pretty faultless run. Yeah, the team project car is a lap down and is just now making his way towards Indianapolis. There he is. Perfetti behind the wheel of that car at this point, trying to get his lap back. And the brake work is done. Michelin's are back on, and it should be back underway. We'll see if Ben Keating has indeed taken over that car at this point. Haven't been able to see a shot of the driver yet. Nope. Interesting. Yeah, as we've worked out, we do need to see Ben Keating back in that car before the end of the race so he can fulfill his minimum time in the car. As one of the Fords just absolutely gonna limit the life of those right side tires as he throws up a bunch of gravel. And I'm sure he got to take a lot with him.
I think the class leading pro car will be in this lap, Pierre Guidi. I think he'll be probably jumping out. Oh, there he is. He's in the pit lane now.
Yep.
So this 50-second gap to the Corvette will be whittled down, and no doubt the Corvette will take back the lead from the Ferrari.
That has been the regular course. Now will we see, I think it's Sarah's turn. Daniel Serra, I think, will be next.
So Jamie, how long does a stint take in one of these GT Pro cars to do 14 laps, say?
No, it's James Collado. I had a 50-50 shot.
James Collado.
Good thing I didn't bet.
How long does it take? I'll come back to you on
What's
that.
the question?
Well, I'm now trying to work out, can the AF course survive without having to do an extra stop?
Oh,
before the end, because literally it could be 1 or 2 laps before the end, and they might have to stop, and then the Corvette will vault into the lead right at the end,
as it has just done. As the 51 has stopped and comes back out onto the racetrack. 45 seconds, roughly in 16 seconds in arrears. So yeah, if that. Let's check in with Louise and find out just how much more driving Ben Keating has to do.
Well, yeah, we have seen that some other teams have been penalised for not doing the correct driver time. Are you keeping an eye on that?
I didn't hear you. You said there have been teams been penalised for what?
Driver times are not fulfilling their driver time. So are you keeping an eye on that?
So yes, we are. I have. A little bit more than 2 stints, just less than 2 hours. So we'll see. I'll get into the car next. I'll do 2 stints, and if we have a yellow safety car or a full course yellow or maybe even a slow zone, maybe I can stretch it out to get my time. If not, then I'll stay in the car.
Easy as that.
Yeah, so I was in for 3 hours, and now as long as I am out of the car for at least 2 hours, then I can't violate more than 4 hours and 6. So that's why Felipe is doing another stint here. And so now, you know, he'll come in with 3 hours, 3.5 hours left in the race. And I have to do 2 of that. I think we'll be okay.
Okay, I'm not going to say anything else about the race and the rest of it because let's not tempt fate.
I'm grateful. Thank you for that.
All right, thanks.
I love Ben. Have a lot of fun with him in the United States. He's got a great sense of humor. He's great for the sport. He's just the kind of guy that this sport needs. He's a very good gentleman driver, and he gets it. He understands all aspect of the sport, whether it be PR and giving us good straight answers, and they sure do have the plan. So I don't think he will run afoul of anything. Just now. So yep. So Ben Keating has got the plan to hopefully keep the lead. Now they have lost their 1 lap lead. They're now just 2 minutes and 11 seconds ahead. So hopefully Fraga can build that lead up a little bit more so that Ben can be even more comfortable in the completion of his final couple of hours of racing. And the boys have gotten their heads together over here, and I see smoke coming out of their ears, so I'm not sure if the gears are turning or not. You guys got it figured out over there?
No, not really. We're not that clever. But we think from around about 11:20 a.m., currently 10:50, we think there will be 4 stops remaining.
That's about right.
Yeah, and it looks like it's going to maybe go the Corvette's way because Pierre Guidi in the Ferrari, or it's now Collado, has just stopped. He's on his outlap. So yeah, it could be that the Corvette has 1 less stop, but we're not clever enough to actually know for sure.
Where's Graham Goodwin when you need him?
Yeah,
and also you've got the whole specter of full course yellow or safety cars, or
probably that's what the Ferrari needs.
Yeah.
Right, I'm going to go and have my second breakfast.
All right. But
Attaboy.
you've punched your card already. You can no, it's not possible. You can't have a second breakfast. Not allowed.
I'm going to take yours.
So the slow-mo action, and now real speed. As we see the number 38 car, the Jackie Chan with Raquelme behind the wheel. And
so that's one team that's benefited from G-Drive's unfortunate problems. In
very
pits.
much so. As did TDS. They have now got the podium position, third podium position. Francois Ferroto. Looks like the G-Drive in the background there, trying to unlap himself.
Yeah, the Signatech has a good
Jean-Eric
margin now.
Byrne. Oh yeah, the Signatech car right now has got a lap lead over the field, basically, in P2. 303 laps completed for Signatech and 302 laps completed for Jackie Chan, and 301 laps completed for Francois Perotto in the TDS number 28. So. Geez, one Scotsman leaves and another one comes in.
We're everywhere, aren't we?
Yeah, we
You know,
are.
there's more Scots not living in Scotland anymore than actually live in Scotland.
Now, why is that? I love Scotland. I love visiting there.
It's a wee bit wet. I mean, even
Oh, come on.
I live down in Middle England.
No such
because
thing as bad
it's
weather,
a good
just
3 or 4
inappropriate
degrees
clothing.
warmer. And this guy here, this Alan McNish fella, he's traded it in completely down in Monaco, of all places.
By Jon Bonnie Banks and by Jon Bonnie Breeze. So, how are things, gentlemen? What's happened in the last hour?
Well, we've been working out who has to, who's got the advantage in the off-sequence pit stop story of GTE Pro. And my two Scottish friends, Dumbreck and Campbell Walter, think that perhaps Corvette does at this point.
In actual fact, we have no clue at all, but we're just guessing. It was a pure guess. It will. Antonio Garcia at the moment is in the driving
darts
seat.
were thrown and it landed on 63, I think, is what happened.
Yeah, well, I think even just looking at where they are in their fuel strategy, tyres is the one question I've got, but I would completely agree with that.
And in P2, Nicolas Lapierre has kind of put his foot on the throat of the rest of the field.
Yep.
And in AM, we just had a conversation with Ben Keating, and they've got it all laid out for him to drive 2 more hours before the end of the race. He's got to wait just a little bit longer before he can get back into the car, because he's got to wait 2 hours from his previous triple stint before he can get back into the car, and then he'll do another double and stay in the car as long as it takes for him to get to his driving time, and then Jerome Bleekemolen will finish the race.
And did we find out what the problem was with the G-Drive car when it was stuck in the pits after the pit stop?
We discussed it, and I don't frankly remember. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No,
I
just
think
whether
Louise
we were
is gonna
talking
go
about
down.
it, whether it was
Yeah.
a starter motor issue or
Well,
alternatively something with the gear shift.
I think Louise is on her way there at the moment, so perhaps we'll hear shortly.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the guys down there will be more kicking things around about the garage, because they had that safely sealed in their pocket. And if we remember as well, 12 months ago, they actually crossed the finishing line first and then had it retrospectively taken away for inconsistencies with their refueling rigs. So I'm sure that for them it was trying to maybe make amends for 2018, which kind of Le Mans has said, well, it's not quite as easy as that.
Yeah.
So far.
And the team's championship in LMP2 comes down to basically a winner-take-all situation between Signatech and the Jackie Chan team. They come in just 4 points apart. So whoever finishes higher will almost undoubtedly win that championship. And the Drivers' Championship is pretty much wide open as well. At this point, it looks like Aubrey, Tung, and Raquelme have got work to do, because if Lapierre and Thuray can hold on to that position, they come in 4 points ahead as well. So in both cases, the Drivers' and Teams Championship, it's kind of come down to winner take all between those two teams. And of course, as it sits right now, Kevin Estra and Michael Christensen are still in the driver's seat for the GTE Pro Championship. Starter motor loom failure.
Whoa. That's a toughie.
That's chasing a gremlin, isn't it?
But yeah, any sort of loom issues, then it is a bit of it is a real problem. It's not usually a very quick fix in that respect, and you always hope that you manage to get it by changing everything that you physically can. However, the more you change, the more time you spend in the pits, and the less chance you've got to win in the race.
Fourth place, Duquesne Engineering. Romain Dumas behind the wheel in a battle 16 seconds ahead of the United Auto Sports number 22, with Albuquerque behind the wheel.
Yeah, it's a good recovery there from United, because this car, especially in their team, has had quite a lot of problems in the practice and qualifying sessions. Really wasn't running very well at all, and it was their sister car that was really the charge. However, the sister car seems to be the one that's actually had all the issues during the race, and this one's run relatively cleanly.
Of course, this is the car, the 22 car, that the scrutineers went over with a fine-tooth comb, and had all kinds of little things. Too much on the doors. Too much. It wasn't, the window opening wasn't big enough. Wanted to be able to open the door with one finger, which is pretty much unheard of. But they were able to get through all that.
Yeah, being practical about it, unless there's a technical issue, then they're fighting for fourth place.
Yep.
And so Albuquerque Dumas definitely is a pretty good battle to savor. I think they'll change drivers. You know, they've generally done 4 stints in LMP2, 3 to 4 stints per driver. So from that point of view, then there'll definitely be a driver change with 4 hours still to go. Or an ELMS race, which is this team usually runs in the European Le Mans series, and those races are 4 hours.
Yeah. Driver's time's coming up now, so looks like Darista's the one who's possibly going to get in next.